In this video tutorial, we'll demonstrate how to create work orders for vehicles in Easy Maintenance, as well as use some of the other features relating to work orders and maintenance schedules. In this tutorial video, we'll show you how to view vehicle maintenance by vehicle, date, or usage. Create vehicle work orders for routine maintenance events. Create vehicle work orders for unscheduled emergency maintenance events. Edit vehicle work orders. Close vehicle work orders. Print vehicle work orders. Assign vehicle work orders to staff. And use the vehicle maintenance calendar. First, we'll show you how to view vehicle maintenance by vehicle, date, or usage. First, click on the Service Due button on the Easy Maintenance main menu. A window will pop up which includes three buttons: by vehicle, by date, and by usage. Basically, each of these buttons let you view all of the scheduled vehicle maintenance events and work orders organized by vehicle, by the date on which they're due, and by the usage at which they're due, respectively. First, we'll demonstrate how to view maintenance events by vehicle. If we click on the By Vehicle button, we'll be taken to the following window. Basically speaking, you use this window by clicking on a vehicle in the list here and then viewing all of the maintenance events in this list here. There's also a search feature that you can use to locate a particular vehicle. This is especially useful if you've entered a lot of vehicles into Easy Maintenance and the list is long. Click on the circle called Vehicle Number and then type the vehicle number into the adjacent box and click on the Locate button. If the vehicle which you entered exists, that vehicle will be selected and its maintenance will be displayed. You can also search for a particular work order if you know the work order number. First, select the circle called Work Order Number. Then type the number of the work order into the adjacent box and click on the Locate button. The work order will be selected. As we mentioned earlier, you can view the maintenance events for a vehicle by clicking on it, and all of the maintenance events for that vehicle will then be displayed in the list here. For each maintenance event, the following data items are shown, going from left to right. Work order number. If a work order has been created for this event, the number of the work order is shown here. If no work order has yet been created, no work order number will be displayed. As mentioned earlier, later in this tutorial video, we'll demonstrate how to create work orders for maintenance events. Assign to. If a work order has been created and it's been assigned to an employee, the name of the employee is listed here. Service type. What kind of maintenance this scheduled event is. Frequency in months. How frequently this maintenance occurs in number of months. Next, due date. When this maintenance is due to be performed. If the scheduled maintenance goes beyond the due date shown here will be shown in red text. Frequency in usage. How frequently this maintenance occurs in number of usage miles. Miles until next maintenance. The number of usage miles that must be logged for this vehicle until it is due for its next maintenance. When you're finished viewing maintenance due by vehicle, click on the Close button at the lower right. Now, to view maintenance by date, click on the By Date button. This will take you to a window called the Service Due by Date window, which shows you all of the maintenance events organized by the date on which they're due. In this window, you can see a list of all the maintenance events for all the vehicles you've entered into Easy Maintenance, sorted by the date on which they're due. For each maintenance event, the following data items are shown, going from left to right. Next due date. When this maintenance is due to be performed. If the scheduled maintenance goes beyond the due date shown here will be shown in red text. Work order number. If a work order has been created for this event, the number of the work order is shown here. If no work order has been created, no work order number will be displayed. Assign to. If a work order has been created and it's been assigned to an employee, the name of the employee is displayed here. Vehicle number. This is the unique identifying number for the vehicle for which this maintenance event is scheduled. Vehicle. This is the type of vehicle for which this maintenance event is scheduled. Service type. what kind of maintenance the scheduled event is. Frequency in months, how frequently this maintenance occurs in number of days. There is also a search feature you can use to locate the maintenance events for a particular vehicle. Click on the circle called Vehicle Number and then type the vehicle number into the adjacent box and click on the Locate button. If the vehicle which you entered exists, the first maintenance event listed for that vehicle will be selected. If there are multiple maintenance events for that vehicle, then click on the Locate Next button as many times as necessary to select, in sequence, the other maintenance events for the vehicle. You can also search for a particular work order if you know the work order number. First, select the circle called Work Order Number and then type the number of the work order into the adjacent box and click on the Locate button. The work order will be selected. When you're finished viewing maintenance due by date, click on the Close button at the lower right. Lastly, we'll demonstrate how to view maintenance events by usage, which is typically the mileage of the vehicles. To do this, click on the By Usage button. This will take you to a window called the Maintenance Due Sorted by Usage window, which shows you all of the maintenance events organized by the amount of usage at which they're due. This window is basically the same as the one we just described, where you view maintenance due sorted by date, except that obviously the maintenance events here are sorted by usage instead of date. Click on the Close button at the lower right to exit from this window. Now we'll demonstrate how to create work orders for scheduled maintenance events for vehicles in Easy Maintenance. First, you have to view maintenance either sorted by vehicle, by date, or by usage. For this example, we'll create a work order while viewing maintenance sorted by vehicle. So we click on the By Vehicle button. Basically, to create a work order for a maintenance event, first you select the vehicle by clicking on it, then you select the maintenance event by clicking on it, and then you click on the Create or Edit Work Order button. Most of the information necessary to create the work order is already filled in. At the top of the window under the Vehicle tab, the details of the vehicle for which you're creating the work order are filled in. If you click on the Customer tab, you can see the details of the customer to whom this vehicle belongs, if you're servicing it for an outside customer. If you're not servicing it for an outside customer, this section will be blank. Below the Vehicle and Customer data fields, and to the left, there are also 5 fields which describe notes about the work order, as well as who is creating the work order, who approved it, and to whom the work is actually assigned. Notes. This is where you enter any notes about this work order. Click inside the box to the right and type any notes you wish to leave. The checkbox next to the field in which you type the notes will be automatically checked to indicate that there are notes for this work order. Exceptions. This is where you indicate that there are changes made to what is usually prescribed in this maintenance. Click inside the box to the right and type any exceptions you want to note. The checkbox next to the field in which you type exceptions will be automatically checked to indicate that there are exceptions for this work order. Performed by. This field displays who created the work order and is automatically filled in with the username of the person who created it. Approved by. This field displays the person who approved the work order. The person approving the work order would click in this field, which causes a window to pop up, prompting them for their username and password. After their username and password have been entered, that user's name will be displayed here as the person by whom this work was approved. Assigned to. From this drop-down box, you choose the person to whom you want to assign to be responsible for the work indicated on the work order. To the right of the previous 5 fields are 4 pairs of data fields which relate to when the work was scheduled to be performed versus when it was actually performed. Completion date, scheduled, and actual. The left field in this pair shows the date on which the work was scheduled to be completed, while the right shows the current date. Days since last service, scheduled, and actual. The left field in this pair shows the number of days that were supposed to have elapsed since the last service for the vehicle to be due for maintenance, while the right shows the number of days that have actually elapsed. Usage meter. The left field in this pair shows the number of miles that were supposed to have been logged for the vehicle to be due for maintenance. In the right field, you type the amount of total mileage for which the vehicle has been operated. This may include mileage between the last log entry and when this work order was created. In other words, mileage that hasn't been logged yet. In which case, Easy Maintenance will calculate the difference between the amount you enter here and the last log entry and automatically make a new log entry containing that difference. Otherwise, you can simply enter the amount that is contained in the log odometer reading field above. Usage since last service. The left field in this pair shows the miles that were supposed to have been logged since the last time this vehicle was serviced for the vehicle to be due for maintenance. The right field shows the actual amount of miles that have been logged since the last service. To the right of these four pairs of fields is the date on which the next scheduled maintenance is due, along with a few options that allow you to choose whether or not the maintenance will be scheduled on a weekend day or not. Click on the circle called All Days Valid to allow scheduling on a weekend day if necessary. Click on the circle called Saturday, Sunday Excluded to disallow scheduling on either weekend day, or click on the circle called Sunday Only Excluded to disallow scheduling on Sundays but allow on Saturdays. In any case, if the scheduled maintenance is scheduled to fall on a day on which maintenance is disallowed to be scheduled, the maintenance will be scheduled on the last day possible before the day or days on which scheduling is disallowed. The date displayed will be changed to reflect the adjusted schedule if rescheduling is necessary. Also on the work order window are four fields in which you can record the man-hours worked for this maintenance, the cost of the hours worked, the cost of the parts and materials used in this maintenance, and the amount of time the vehicle had to be taken out of use to perform the maintenance. Click in any of these fields and type the desired values. However, the parts and materials cost is automatically calculated by Easy Maintenance and filled in, although you may change it if you need to. See the video 4.1 Tracking and Controlling Your Inventory for information on entering items into inventory and setting their respective costs. Below those four fields, you'll see two more fields that display the maintenance profile for the vehicle for which the work order is being created and the type of maintenance that is being performed. At the bottom of the work order, under List of Services tab, you'll see all the services that are included in the service type for which you're creating the work order. You can change the materials and replacement parts, as well as the steps or operations needed to complete a service by selecting one of them, clicking on it, and then clicking on the Edit button. This will open a new window where you can edit the materials, operations, and replacement parts for the service. This is done in the same manner in which you add materials, operations, and parts to a maintenance type in a service when creating a service profile. See video 3.1 Setting up the Vehicle Service Module for information on creating service profiles and specifying what materials, operations, and parts are needed in the services that compose a service profile. In some instances, however, you may actually need to replace a part because it's failed or because it has not passed an inspection, which perhaps you may have included in the list of operations. To do this, click on the Checklist of Parts to Service tab. Then locate the part you need to replace in the list and click on the space under the Replace column to reveal a drop-down box. Select Replace from the drop-down box. Then enter the quantity of the part you're replacing in the space under the Quantity column. Now, the quantity of the part which you're replacing will automatically be deducted from inventory, although, as you will see shortly, you can override this automatic deduction later if you want to. When you're finished editing the materials, operations, and parts for the service, click on the OK button to save your changes, or click on the Cancel button to cancel and discard any changes you've made. Now, when you've finished entering all of the information for the work order, click on the OK button to create the work order. When you click OK, two windows in succession will pop up, asking you if you want to update the totals in inventory to reflect the items which you've used in the work order. The first one asks you if you want to update the materials inventory, and the second asks if you want to update the replacement parts inventory. Click Yes if you want to deduct the parts from inventory, and click No if you do not want to deduct the parts from inventory. Notice that the maintenance event now has a work order number to indicate that a work order has been created for it. Now, we'll demonstrate how to create an unscheduled work order for events such as unexpected vehicle breakdowns. In other words, these are work orders that are not part of a regular maintenance schedule, but rather they're created as the need arises. Just like when creating a regular scheduled work order, to create an unscheduled work order, you have to view maintenance either sorted by vehicle, by date, or by usage. For this example, we'll create an unscheduled work order while viewing maintenance sorted by vehicle. So we click on the By Vehicle button. Then click on the New Unscheduled Work Order button. This will open the window at which you create the unscheduled work order. At the top right corner of the window, you'll see a field called Work Order Number that displays the number that this work order has been assigned. First, you must select the vehicle for which you want to create the unscheduled work order by selecting its unique vehicle number from the Vehicle Number drop-down menu. Notice that the other fields automatically fill in with information about the vehicle you've selected. Below these data fields, there are also 4 fields which describe notes about the work order, as well as who is creating the work order and who approved it. Notes. This is where you enter any notes about this work order. Click inside the box to the right and type any notes you wish to leave. The checkbox next to the field in which you type the notes will be automatically checked to indicate that there are notes for this work order. Exceptions. This is where you indicate that there are changes made to what is usually prescribed in this maintenance. Click inside the box to the right and type any exceptions you want to note. The checkbox next to the field in which you type exceptions will be automatically checked to indicate that there are exceptions for this work order. Performed by. This field displays who created the work order and is automatically filled in with the username of the person who created it. Approved by. This field displays the person who approved the work order. The person approving the work order would click in this field, which causes a window to pop up prompting them for their username and password. After their username and password have been entered, that user's name will be displayed here as the person by whom this work was approved. To the right, there is a box in which you can enter the current odometer reading for the vehicle. If it differs from the last odometer reading entered into the vehicle usage logs, a new log entry will automatically be created to account for the difference. There is also a checkbox called Closed, which you can click on to check to close this work order, which we'll discuss later. Also on the work order are 4 fields in which you can record the man-hours worked for this maintenance, the cost of the hours worked, the cost of the parts and materials used in this maintenance, and the amount of time the vehicle had to be taken out of use to perform the maintenance. Click in any of these fields and type the desired values. However, the parts and materials cost is automatically calculated by Easy Maintenance and filled in. Now, unscheduled work orders are created from scratch and are not for a specific kind of maintenance per se. As such, you'll need to select what kind of maintenance this work order will contain. You can do this by selecting the type of maintenance you want to prescribe from the Service Profile and Type drop-down boxes. Once you've selected the maintenance, the list of all the services included in it displays below. Again, for more information on creating service profiles, see video 3.1, Setting up the Vehicle Service Module. As with creating a work order for a scheduled maintenance event, you can also edit the materials, operations, and replacement parts used in the individual services. This is done by selecting one of the services and clicking on the Edit button to the right. Once at this window, changing the materials, operations, and parts is done in the same manner as when changing the materials, operations, and replacement parts when creating a scheduled work order. In many cases, however, you may need to do something very specific to repair a vehicle that's not prescribed by any of your existing service profiles and types. For this, it's recommended to create a blank service profile. A blank service profile is simply a service profile with one service type and one service which contains no materials, parts, or operations. Typically, a service profile like this is called something similar to unscheduled service. Selecting the blank service profile and type for the unscheduled work order allows you to enter any materials, operations, or parts needed for this particular maintenance. See video 3.1, Setting up the Vehicle Service Module, for information on how to create service profiles. Once you've entered all of the information for the unscheduled work order, click on the OK button to save and create it. Notice that the work order now appears in the list of maintenance events for the vehicle for which you created it. To edit a work order, first you must be viewing maintenance events either by vehicle, by date, or by usage. For this example, we'll view maintenance events by vehicle. Then find the work order you want to edit, whether it's a scheduled or unscheduled work order, and select it by clicking on it. Then click on the Create or Edit Work Order button. A window will open at which you can edit the details about the work order. This window works similarly to the one in which you create a new scheduled work order. When you're finished making changes to the work order, click on the OK button. Answer yes to whether you want to deduct item from inventory if you've made any changes to the materials or parts in the work order, and you want to deduct from inventory to reflect that. To close a work order, open up a work order for editing as we've just described. Then, on the work order screen, click on the checkbox called Work Order is Closed. Then save the work order by clicking on the OK button. The work order will then be closed and will appear in the maintenance history. We demonstrate viewing the maintenance history in video 3.5, Vehicle Maintenance History. To print your work orders, you can either print them individually or print many at once. To print them individually, open up a work order for editing, as we described before. On the right side of the window, you'll see this section. This gives you the option to print the entire work order with all materials, operations, and replacement parts listed, as well as all of the services included. You can also choose which items you want to have on the work order. To print the full work order with all materials, parts, operations, and services, click on the circle called Full Report, and then click on the Print Selected button. To print a custom report which shows only the items you want, click on the circle called Custom Report, and then check the boxes called Service Summary, Parts to Service, Materials, and Operations. Then click on the Print Selected button. This will print the work order. There are two ways in which you can assign vehicle work orders to users in Easy Maintenance. You can do it for individual work orders, or you can assign multiple work orders at once. To assign work orders individually, open up a work order for editing. From the Assign To drop-down box, select the user to whom you want to assign the work order. Then click on the OK button to save the work order. To assign multiple work orders at once, click on the Assign Work Orders button here. This will open up a window which lists all of the maintenance events for all your vehicles. To quickly create work orders and assign them to personnel, you must use the drop-down boxes under the Assigned To column and the Assigned button at the bottom of the window. To create a work order for a maintenance event and assign it to someone, first locate the maintenance event for which you want to create the work order in the list of upcoming and due maintenance events. Then look to the right for the drop-down box under the Assigned To column. Click on the small arrow on the right side of the box to expand the list of people to whom you can assign the work order. Then click on the person whom you want to assign the work order. Next, click on the Assign button. Notice that the maintenance event you selected now has a corresponding work order number under the WO number column. This means that the work order has been created and it is assigned to the person you selected. Repeat this procedure on any remaining maintenance events for which you want to create work orders and assign them to someone. Now, we'll demonstrate how to use the Vehicle Maintenance Calendar in Easy Maintenance. This feature allows you to view what maintenance events for vehicles are due on any given day. Click on the Calendar button to access this feature. This takes you to the Project Maintenance Calendar window. At the left side of the window is a list of all the vehicle maintenance events that are scheduled for the day that is currently selected. This list shows only those maintenance events for which a work order has not yet been created. For each maintenance event, you can see the vehicle number of the vehicle for which the maintenance is for, the service profile for the vehicle, the type of maintenance that needs to be performed, and the miles until that maintenance must be performed next. In the upper right-hand corner of the projected maintenance calendar window is a calendar. You can click on one of the days to select it, and the list of maintenance events on the left side of the window will be updated with the maintenance events that are due that day. The day you selected will be highlighted in red text on the calendar itself, and it will also be displayed at the bottom of the window under the list of maintenance events. To move forward a week, click on the upper left-hand corner of the calendar. To move forward or backward by 1 year, click on the double arrow buttons at the top of the calendar. To move forward or backward by 1 month, click on the single arrow buttons at the top of the calendar. You can also go to any month of any year you wish by double-clicking on any of the days in the calendar, which will pop up this window. Click on the arrow on the right side of the drop-down box called Month, which will expand the list of months, and then click on the month you want to select. Then, in the box called Year, either click in the box and type the year in which you want to select, or click on the up and down arrows on the right side of the box to advance the year forward or backward, respectively. Click OK when you've selected your desired month and year, or click Cancel to abort. Also notice that at the bottom left-hand corner of the window, there is a Notes box. You can leave notes for any day by selecting a day from the calendar and then typing notes into this field. To leave notes, simply click inside the Notes box and then type your desired notes. Now, when that date is selected in the future, those notes will be displayed.